Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on the late one as we go Youth Connection this evening. And as usual, today is the 4th of December, 2020, where great things are happening. It's a beautiful end of the year. I know the word beautiful is not a word which we sometimes use for the year 2020, but I tell you, the reality is that it's a fantastic year. Don't wait for 2021 because remember, when it was 2019, everybody was saying, I can't wait for 2020. I can't wait for it. 2019, goodbye. Then all of a sudden, 2020 came and everybody wanted to run away from 2020 now. Can't wait for 2021. But guess what? You never know. I think what we need to do is to spend as much time in 2020, ensure that we get as much out of 2020, because God will have something great in store in 2021. Now, one of the things which has been a great factor in the world 2020, in light of COVID, in light of what is happening with all these different lockdown, there's a key phrase, which is used a lot: mental health. And when we hear of mental health at times, many people sometimes look at mental health as something which is a stigma to it, whereby you can have good mental health, I believe, and you can have bad mental health. So mental health is somewhat like the umbrella, but nobody sometimes like the word mental health to be associated with them. But what is happening now, just like in the years ago when they're saying Americans, black people were being killed by police a lot, all of a sudden it's like this all became a reality and new, but it's not really new. It's just that social media has brought it up to the fore as much as possible. So in light of that, now I believe it's the same thing which is also happening in mental health, is that it's not that it is new or it is coming out and many people are knowing about it. Well, many people are knowing about it, but that is because of the advent of a sense of realization and a sense of the whole media aspect of it. And I think it is good. So therefore, what I've decided to do, and in part of my short time, is always try to be a bit relevant as much as possible. So in Youth Connections tonight, I believe it is crucial. I've decided to invite a few young persons on the show. And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also a young person. So I feel so much at home today. I'm normally with people who are like 50 and all those sort of things, who claim to be my age range. But now I'm finally at home with young people who are a part of my range. Hey guys, how are you? Am I correct there?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
We're good. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Well, one of the things that I said there a while ago is I feel at home now. Now I'm finally at home.
I'm not the only one seeing this, right?
Are you guys? Oh, you guys were frozen for a bit.
Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm not in my 20s. I didn't lie. I'm not in my 20s. So ladies and gentlemen, listen, without further ado, I've got Nicole Leonne. She's putting her hands up there. Yes. A master's degree holder in social psychology, mental health advocate, and the founder of youth empowerment organization called Iron Sharp Iron, and a key member of SDS Entertainer. I also have Makeda Bennett-Amparbeng, is the founder and executive creative director of SDS Entertainment, an entertainment company based in Croydon, London. SDS is about providing spaces and opportunities for young creative, especially those from the Black community. And also, our current focus is on fixing the borough of Croydon non-existing live music scene through SDS. And also, I've got Mikey Dread. I'm sorry. Let me just clarify. His name is Tatenda Mikey Manyarara. Mikey creates, of anything, Mikey creates. I tell you why I call him Mikey Dread. When we were talking initially, and I got his number, I just wanted to save the number because I know I've got a few Mikeys in my phone. So I said, what can I say? So I just quickly said Mikey Dread because I'm a Jamaican. So
Not even
you don't mind Mikey, do you? So I just call him I just call him Mikey Dread there for short, just for the purpose of that. But Mikey is a multidisciplinary visual artist from Zimbabwe, specialized in traditional and digital portraiture painting. But his work varies from concept art, storyboard, and album cover design. Well, guys, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming, and it's a pleasure. Mental health is a key factor, and when I was saying I wanted to do something on this particular topic based on different things, I reached out to a few persons who were on the show, and Nicole came back to me. So Nicole, I want you to set the stage as to why you felt it important, and you jump in straight away and talking about the work of Mikey and as well, Makeda. So if you go ahead and let me know, yeah.
So basically, I work with Makeda. He's part of SDS, and we realized that it was Mental Health Week, and we were so eager to do something about it because we know that mental health and well-being is so important in this day and age, especially. Also, the term mental health is usually seen as something that's negative. Now, mental health shouldn't be seen as negative because if you're talking about physical health, you're not going to think, oh, physical health, oh no, that's bad. No one's going to think like that. But with mental health, automatically there seems to be some sort of stigma, and I think that's especially around like the Black community as well.
Yes.
So I wanted to work with Makeda and just be like, what should we do, to promote good mental health, or show people that it's okay not to be okay, and the different means in which people can seek help. So I spoke to Makeda about it, and she was like, oh, illustrations would be good. So basically we came up with stories. Yeah, we came up with stories to promote it, but we wanted to focus more on young people because young people tend to shy away from talking about these things. So we thought, okay, so what way can we approach it? Because YouTube videos, everybody does YouTube videos,
talks and things like that. Everyone's kind of heard them. So we wanted to go at it about a different approach. So that's where we came up with the concept of doing comic books, because within SDS, a lot of us like anime and a lot of us like comics. So we thought one way that we can kind of present a positive outlook on mental health and get the message out there was through creating a comic book series, which is called It's Okay Not to Be Okay. And then we thought, who better than to create the comics than Mikey?
Good on Mikey,
Mikey.
So therefore, that's how the dread come in.
Mikey, I've known Mikey from universities. We went to the same university, and that's kind of how our connect has always been there. So obviously Mikey is just an amazing illustrator. So as soon as I thought to myself, okay, cool, we're going to do a comic strip, I thought Mikey, 100%, nobody else. Nobody else.
So over to Zimbabwe now. Oh, by the way, are you in Zimbabwe or are you in the UK? Where are you, Mikey?
No, I'm in the UK.
You're in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your sort of the linking now with the illustration and how you get around this. Yeah.
All right. So for the illustration, luckily enough, I got to be in touch with Makeda, and she, with Nicole, directed me through having concepts of the stories on how best to illustrate the pieces, but more importantly, convey the messages in a bit of a minute or a less way that is not as direct, but you figure it out on yourself. And the beauty about it is we're exploring not just not just all aspects as much as we wanted to. We wanted to really funnel down on what is currently going on, such as like coping with corona and isolation and overload. And there's a lot of similarities between the three, because it's really just about linking that regardless of whichever situation that you're in, be it you're living by yourself or you're overloaded with responsibilities and work due to what's currently going on, or the comparisons of how certain people perhaps are living, or perceived, actually, should I say, to be living better than other people.
Yeah.
I think it's really good to, like Makeda and Nicole said, to convey the different points of what the comics are stating, and to show, like, even though the characters that we decided to create in the comic, they themselves are going through it, but they find a way by using what they got, and also just by just taking that step forward, as much as it may be difficult, because everybody currently right now is finding it really difficult to take that step. So that was really the direction with the illustrations, but more importantly, the message.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys, just pull back a bit now. When was it that you have the sense that mental health is a key factor that need to be addressed as young people? If we start off with Makeda.
I think within SDS, we've always known that mental health was something that we wanted to address. So we knew that we wanted to have a connection between, let's say, mental health and music, because a big part of SDS is music. And we know that in terms of some people who suffer from mental health, sometimes they can use music as a tool to help them. So I think it's always been embedded into SDS that no matter what we do within the Black community, we want to make sure that people understand it's okay not to be okay. Make sure you speak up if you need to speak up, check on people, and all that kind of stuff there. So I'll say it's always been a core thing of SDS to make sure that we get the message out about, mental health and tell the young people. I know from last year, we were trying to put together a couple of different focus groups with some young people, and we had one, and they were kind of telling us their views on mental health and mental health taught in schools and what to do and what not to do and how to approach it. So we really want to try and find numerous different ways to get the message out there, especially to the young Black community, how to deal with mental health.
And Nicole, I know we spoke already before, but when separate and apart even from SDS, but when was it launched? When did it sort of came full to you that mental health is a factor that needs to be addressed, especially within your peers, age group range?
I'd probably say during university, really. Or probably even before that, because I've always known that I wanted to study psychology, understand the way the mind works and everything, and just kind of understand the factors onto, how well we're doing, how well psychologically and mentally we're doing. And I realized that a lot of people go through issues but tend not to talk about them. So what I want to do is probably let people know that this is an issue, this is a problem, like it needs to be solved. So what ways can we do that? So by doing so, like I do a lot of research when it comes to depression, anxiety, bipolar and everything. So what I did was I wanted to get a bit more of an understanding, not just researching, but face value. So I'd go to university and sometimes do talks, understand people's different perspectives, the factors that kind of contribute to good mental health, bad mental health. And it's becoming an issue that's more prominent, or it's becoming a topic that needs to be spoken about openly, so that people know that they can go and talk to therapists, or they know that they can talk to people who will listen to them, get the right kind of advice and everything. So and I think especially with young people as well, I think I was telling Makeda that if young people, not even young people, if children from young understand that mental health and keeping yourself well is so important from young, then when they're older they know the right advice to take, they know exactly what to do. And even with the comics as well, like I think I was telling Mikey and Makeda, like even if when we were in nursery or when we were on reception and we had those little books that told you, oh okay, this is a family that does this, we're all meant to be together and everything. If we came up with little comic books and stuff like that from when they're like 5, like they start to build up, an understanding of the world and stuff. So if they start from ages like that, it might help, better themselves, like in terms of their personality, in terms of their mental health, and just help in general, really.
Before I go on to Mikey and look at a couple of illustrations, Mikey, could you answer this question? And the question is this. When the word mental health is used, or the phrase is used, what is the perception that people have, or you sense that people have when the word mental health, that word, what about, how's your mental health? Hey, I'm cool, man, I'm cool.
Now that's a very interesting question. And I think the perception that comes around mental health is because we've grown up with the idea or even the narrative that what's been told via media, or the almost like the negative, like the negative outcomes of what mental health is. So when we hear depression, we think of someone who's just like depressed and sad and just has a like the cloud over their heads, and just the many subtle but minimal things that impact the almost like the extremities of what mental health is. So it's like sadness, it's this anxiety is like you're constantly shaking and all those. I think when people want to say, "Yo, so how's your mental health?" When you're discussing, you say like with one of your peers, they'll be like, "Yeah, bruv, why you want to talk about that?" It's there's this big wall because the perception is you're asking like, "So have you been shaking today? Have you been sad today? Have you been like, why are you wearing black clothes and all that stuff?" And I think now the beauty about this generation now, we're now taking that leap to destroy the boundaries that were perhaps set by the generation that came before us, because that's what they only knew. And with the initiative of SDS and also Nicole, and also many others that I've also been in touch with, I'm starting to see little ripples of change that are now including like depression may not be as like sad or mopey. It can be someone that's constantly happy and smiling and just like being like, oh my gosh, how can this person be depressed? And then sadly hear the worst stuff. They either committed suicide or they're no longer like around. Like the greatest example is Linkin Park musician.
Yes.
He was I've forgotten his name, but his last video he was smiling and happy, and then they found out like he was depressed, and they saw the notes, and it doesn't always look how we think it does, but by creating the conversation or the opportunity to conversate and to even like illustrate the ideas, I think it engages people to be like, I feel the same way as you illustrated this person, I feel the same way as you talked about this person. And by doing so, we're now changing it from mental health to just health, encompassing that nature.
It's interesting what you said, changing from mental health to health. Is it that you don't want to use the umbrella word of mental?
I think it's not even just not using the word. I think it's just because mental affects the physical, affects the emotional, affects the spiritual. And indeed, by knowing what specifically you're going into, it makes it easier to now have more clarity of what to fix. I believe that overall, once you fix your mental health or take the steps to help with your mental health, it actually helps with the emotional health. It helps with the spiritual health. It helps with your friendship health. It now broadens into all the other aspects that we never even discuss or even consider, because ultimately it's all health, but understanding obviously specifically mental health, what can we do? Well, it's mostly just about what am I thinking? How am I thinking? Is it like with the comics, is it in comparison to others? Am I overloaded with responsibilities and situations, or am I in a situation that I feel like I'm not in control of? It's really just about looking at all of those situations. They are broader, but just specifically those three, and then finding ways to cultivate the change to therefore affect all the other areas.
Thanks for that. Nicole, if I go to you, the social psychology holder, degree holder, and the mental health advocate, I want to put that same question to you and Makeda as to the perception. And is it like a rebranding of the word or so to change the mindset? Because in a way, it is seem like the word is somewhat creating a blockage of people coming in, because the word is there. Is there some need to some sort of rebranding or PRs? I don't know. I'm just trying to sort of
You want to go first?
Okay, then, I wouldn't say it's a rebranding. I think it's just the what's being taught when people say mental health. So for example, if someone has like a mental health session, how is that session being taught? Because what we found out with a couple of young people is when they have a mental health session, they've often left feeling in a way that they're not really supposed to feel after a mental health session, for example. Like they feel like, oh my gosh, does that mean that I'm going through this? Does that mean this? Does that mean this? They feel kind of like on the edge. So I think it's not a rebranding of the term mental health. I think it's just making sure that it's taught in the correct way, so that when young people, just people in general, think about mental health, they don't think, oh my gosh, is this what I'm going to be like next week or tomorrow? They just don't feel so, like Mikey was saying, just shaky. So
And I think we have the opportunity to change that. If that makes sense.
Definitely.
Because obviously we've grown up and seen how everything's been going and stuff. And also just having the focus groups, so understanding things from their perspective. I think they were in like secondary school. So if we have the ability to understand that all mental health is seen as really bad and stuff, like we can change that. We can be the people to change that and be like, you know, it's not something that's bad. Like you need to understand that this is important for you. But it's the way you approach it. So if you're going to talk to a group of young people or people in primary school and just be like, okay, this is bad. If you have these symptoms, then A, B, and C, then it's automatically going to be off-putting. Or, you know, sometimes when you feel a bit weird, so you're like, okay, let me go on Google and check what this is. And then you find out the worst thing. You're like, oh my God, I hope I don't have this. Like people should leave talks and programs feeling like that. They should rather leave feeling like, okay, I have a bit more of an understanding and I know how to better myself. I know how to, you know, make sure that I'm healthy, that I'm well. And that should be what's, you know, seen as mental health.
So, okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm with three key young persons here. Makeda Bennett-Amparbeng, founder, executive, creative director of SDS Entertainment. Miss Nicole, Leonne, social psychology master degree holder and mental health advocate. And Mr. Mikey Dread, Tatenda, Mikey Manyarara, multiple disciplinary artist and creator of these illustrations. Mikey, if we go on, please share and like this video if you're there, and you can also watch it back on the replay. And the topic is a key one: mental health and how we deal with it. Mikey, if you sort of can elaborate on your illustrations and how does that unfold now?
Okay. So is this just all of them collectively or just individually?
Collectively, yeah. I mean, teach me, tell me. How
I think the irony of the comics themselves, as I spoke before, they all blend together in regards of the themes that each person, each individual may be feeling or have had experienced it itself. And I think the video about like with comparison, it's a comic really that delves into a young man that wants to go and be a scientist, but is working like a job in a coffee shop, and because of how he is somehow perceived by most others, like, oh, you're working just a small job. I think what we wanted to do with Nicole when she was writing the concept of it was really to just showcase, like, regardless of whatever your journey is, just walk it at your own pace. And the conflict in the story itself is like he meets an old friend and he's driving a fast car. He's got the expensive clothes and everything, and he's just like, oh, I can't believe that you're working in a coffee shop. Didn't we go to the same school and all that stuff? And we just really want to delve into like the psychology that even though you came from the same school, like some say come from Oxford or some say come from UCL, and then you're working at a job, it's really just to showcase the fact that you have a job, the fact that you're trying to make movements and steps to improve your life. And it may not be as glamorous as they may perceive it. And when you read the story itself, the boy is actually waking up and is actually having like a recurring dream that he's been having. And then he's almost like talking to himself in the mirror, like, what's the point? Why should I keep this job? I'm constantly seen as less. And then he's teleported by his almost like, I call it like ethereal self, like his almost like his higher being, to be like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on, bro? Like, what do you want? He just takes him on the journey of like how you see like your friend to be like, oh, he's living the life. He's got this car, he's talking to the girls and everything. On the other side, his family has disowned him. He's literally running on savings. No one wants to talk to him or be friends with him. And the sad thing about it is, it's just like most people are doing that social media. Because of that perception and persona, not everybody's able to connect, and they still hide behind the fame, the likes, the verifies, the everything. And the conclusion for comparison really was just basing it on that regardless of wherever you are, if you can focus on your family, on your passions, and more importantly on the fact that you're alive, I think that in essence will help you realize that it doesn't matter the journey as long as you go at your own pace. It's a marathon, it's not a race. And that's what we're really trying to convey with this comic specifically. Like, I know someone was saying, like, how is it like the feather is more heavier than your own truth and anything else? And it's really just about, well, how do you see it is ruling your life? Are you being ruled by people's opinions and perceptions of yourself, or is your own truth running your life? So that was really the idea that I was trying to convey visually from the concept that Nicole had given unto me.
And Makeda, your take on the comparisons there as to why the feather is heavier than the other bits there, which look like bars of gold. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think it's like what Mikey said. It's about, in the way in which we work, especially with social media, you'll have it so that everyone's opinion means something to you. On social media, it's like, can I get the most likes? Can I get this? Can I get this? And that stuff there is weighing on everybody so much. And so that I kind of see that's the gold, let's say. And that's not the most important thing that everyone needs to be concerned about. You just worry about yourself more. And I think one thing I'll say our generation knows too well is that social media is sometimes not your friend. It can be the cause of a lot of problems. Not to say that it doesn't have its positives, but I think in terms of mental health, there is a connection there, I would say personally, between, let's say, what happens on social media and young people's mental health, because it is all about, let me make sure I do the best show for like Instagram, make sure I do the best picture, but the person is crying, they're in tears, they're upset. So it's just a persona. So I think that's where that kind of the weighing of the the feather comes into
it. Because I'm looking at it and dissecting it. People's opinion is heavier. And for ladies and gentlemen, I can read it. Your truth, your dreams, your joy. Those are the massive, powerful things. But somehow people's opinions, because on social media now, I know, coming out of all these elections and everything, and even right now with the whole advent of the vaccine, so many opinions is weighing people down. Hence the reason why people say, I'm giving social media a break, I'm giving Facebook a break.
The funny thing is, we saw a lot of that on social media, especially with like artists and young people. During like the last couple of months where everything was too much, a lot of people just switched off social media. And came back a month later and was like, sorry guys, I had to take a break. I've seen a lot more people, especially this year, just say I needed to take some time. I switched off all my social media and they've come back and they're happy.
Mikey's ready. So tell me, social media. So how would you then advise young people then? I mean, all young people now, from 13, 14, first thing is the phone and everything like that. Social media. How do you tell people how to deal with that? Because it's a reality and a part of our life. Mike, your hand is up.
I wanted to relate that question to the next comic, which is coping with Corona, if you can just bring that up. And that question really wraps around as much. I'm not going to deny social media, like Makeda says, it may never be your friend at some point. Like literally just like wipes you off. But there are points where it does help, because the coping with Corona, the story is a young man who's graduated from masters in law, is just living by himself, and he's just trying to literally just find a way to now just make his life from his desire to be a lawyer. But then sadly he hears the news of his grandmother passing, and I had to be, personally, just as an illustrator, I had to be careful on how best I illustrate that point, because I didn't want to showcase anything that was too forward in regards to, like, say, a funeral or anything. I just wanted the words or the emotions that was shown to convey that meaning, because in the background there's like a BBC report or news about like people are dying because of the coronavirus, and then it switches off to the panel of him crying, and then we see like it's his grandma that is passed, and we actually find out during the story itself that his grandma was close to him and inspired him to go for his passion, which was being a lawyer. And then he is currently in the zone of just drinking and smoking and just wallowing away. But then he reads a quote on his like grandma's picture that says like, "You always got a friend in me." And then that moment he decides to like go on his phone and want to do FaceTime with his cousin that has helped him during the journey. But then there's this hesitation of like, oh, should I not? But what if she's busy? What is this? What is that? But then he takes that leap, and then he's talking to her, and then it's just like, hey, how you been? And it's like, I'm so glad you speaking. Your parents have been asking like, how have you been, and etc. And because of that initiative, he's now able to open up and actually now in some cases alleviate the tension or the stress that has been burdening him. Like he has to do this alone. He's like, because he was closest to her. And to answer the question of like social media, there are the good and the bad of it. When you over rely on the opinions like the one before on others, you are so controlled by how you post, what you post, what do you decide to showcase to people. And by doing so, you are grounded by people's rules of what you think you should be posting because of what you think they want you to post. I know it's a bit of like a mishmash thing. But
so in a way, you're now being controlled to a certain extent by unseen forces, unseen voices.
Absolutely,
you're not being yourself, if anything.
It's a subconscious one. And with the comic itself, it was really just to show like he's using FaceTime. It could be iPhone FaceTime, it could be WhatsApp FaceTime, it could be anything, but it's helping to bridge the gap because we want to illustrate the cousin obviously doesn't live with him, but perhaps he's far away, perhaps he's in another country, but they're able to bridge the gap together by taking that leap to say, I'm actually not okay. I'm not talking to family because I feel like they wouldn't understand. They're always asking why I'm not answering. And by doing so, he's now helping her. She's now helping him. And in some cases, they're both helping each other because now she opened up about what she's going through that perhaps she couldn't tell anyone else.
If I just dissect a bit, one's mind, two persons are in the cage, but it seemed to me it is the same person. Am I correct?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So one is back to back, and one is the person in the red or pink, color.
Yeah. A salmon. Yeah. The red was meant to signify him as crouching down, living in the distorted world of like I have to do this by myself. The orange one is meant to symbolize he's looking at the birdcage open and is wanting to take that leap, and then the blue one is obviously now walking out of it. And funny enough, I just literally got the idea for bird cages. I just saw like a bird fly by, and I just thought, usually our mind usually wanders, and it was so caged by either opinions or concepts that we believe to be true. We are literally forcing ourselves into that cage instead of like a bird flying out to sea, just accepting whatever comes through.
Yeah, interesting what you're saying, because the first one it talks about the public opinion of individuals and how it affects persons. This one now is one's mind somewhat being captured. The Bible talks about be not conformed but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I do these walks in the morning, most mornings, and I always end up talking about the mindset of how when you're even in the supermarket, the branding experts and everybody know, now let's see how they think. Always coming in with your son or a child, put that chocolate and that candy there. You know they think, so that everybody's gunning after your mind. And at the same time, while I was thinking about it, it turned out to me that even God is gunning after your mind. I said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Worship the Lord God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. So therefore, God is even giving us that free choice. So the mind is what you take captive. Nicole, if you can tap into that bit there, how the control of the mind within the cage and then being freed. How do young people break out? Because many of them are captured. They're in this bondage.
I think just like what both of them have said, like social media can kind of capture your mind. So you feel like you have to be a specific way to be successful. If you're not necessarily like that, then it's all over or you're a failure. I think people usually have that perception. But I think sometimes like you do need to take that break off social media. And then just kind of focus on yourself.
Sorry, I'm gone. Bye. See you later.
Not yet.
yeah, sometimes you do need to take yourself off social media and do things like, you know how you were saying, Sylbourne, that you go for walks and you just kind of going for walks and just listening to music and stuff and just letting your mind.
Birds. I listen to the birds a lot.
Oh, the birds.
I love the birds.
Natural MP3.
Every time I get up and walk, I hear them just sounding an alarm and they say, "Hey, SYLBOURNE is here." I'm going to send you guys some of my videos and see what happens. The birds are just crazy when I walk, man.
That's the key thing right there that I think not necessarily our generation, but part of our generation, and just then it's social media and the phone and technology, let's just say, is the world that you live in, and anything outside of that is like, what is that? What we're supposed to go outside? The park is on my phone. I can play.
You can put a bird on your phone. Like
there is that kind of mindset, and when you're doing that, your brain is just in one device, in a device. And what needs to happen is that you just turn the device off for a second and just go outside and just be in the moment. Don't be in the technology moment, in the digital. Don't be in the digital realm, let's say. Be in the natural, just with the world.
Just kind of embrace the world, everything around you, the creation and stuff. Because once you take yourself off, you just think, wow, this is amazing. And it just gives you the chance to just be free. Like, you're not thinking about other people's opinions, because you don't need to see them anyway.
That's it.
You can spend time with friends and just enjoy yourself. Like, enjoy the company that you have with friends. If you decide to put social media away, I'm sure. I think that's like a birthday thing or whatever. And I was thinking, like, everybody put your phones away, because you can just enjoy yourself, enjoy the company that you have with everyone. If your phone's there, then it's like, oh yeah, and you're not capturing the moment. You're thinking, oh, let me go and snap that time.
Let me capture the moment.
Filters.
Everything to see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's always this thing seen as well, whereby people go to concerts or parties or whatever, and they just start to take up their phones and go like this and say, when are they enjoying it?
That
is because the new normal is to basically be like, if I'm going to go somewhere, it's like, well, I need to prove to everybody that
I'm there. Yeah, exactly.
Make sure
iPhone 12 gang.
I got evidence. I was there. I didn't.
I'm sorry, Mikey. You're lifting up your hands. I want to go back to Grace Voya after you say what you're going to say. I don't want to miss what you said, Mikey. You're going to say something while we're talking.
Oh yeah, no. This was gonna just now flow into the final comic about.
Before
we can go to Grace first.
I want to bring up that loving the sprinkle of scripture in this amazing talk, and how does God comes into the world? I mean, you guys are Christians, yes? Yeah. I tried to infiltrate my show with scriptures and God, because I know as I bless God, God will bless me. I got a preacher guy coming on.
Come on.
It's the title. I told him the title of the show is God in Corona. Where is dealing with God in Corona and something like that. Where is God in the whole aspect of Corona? So Christian light. The plan is for next week Wednesday. But can you just elaborate on what Grace said? Scriptures in this amazing talk, in this whole aspect of mental health. The word.
Nicole, you can. Should I?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Grace Voya, for asking, for making that comment. It's really nice. I think, like, adding scripture in this talk is kind of like a prompt and an influence for us all. Like, it's things like this. Like, we all go through things at the end of the day, and like at the end of the day, God sees us. Like, it's like a lesson. It's almost like a lesson in a sense, even with like mental health and stuff. Like, it gives you the opportunity to see that there's people out there who can genuinely help you. And I think there's one scripture that I read, I think it's in like Hebrews or something. And it's like people walk around and they're angels and they're helping you, but you don't even realize it. So it's good to be nice to everyone, by the way, just putting it out there. Oh God. But yeah, I think it's important to put God within anything what we're doing. And then hopefully it touches the people that genuinely read, the comics that we're doing, or the talks that we do, or the programs that we have. So yeah, it's probably what I think.
And your talk, your views on that, Makeda?
Yeah, I would say the same with Nicole. Really, I think it's just we're hoping to reach as many people as we can in the work that we do. And so within that, making sure that, like I say, that the scripture is kind of spoken about, things like that. I think it's important for us to, to touch, let's say, everybody, and just saying to everybody, I think everybody as a whole, so it's like, it is okay for everybody. If you're not okay, come and speak up. If you're here, let the words kind of flow through you, really.
And I think I'll probably add to that and say, some people, they might not be religious. And just kind of, putting stuff like this out there and speaking about mental health and, these kind of aspects in a different way that everybody else can understand. It's nice, because it means that everybody can, touch on different parts of what we've written with the comics and everything. So it's not just kind of like, oh, this is it, you have to take it this way, God, Christian. Like, talk about it in a more subtle way for people, for everybody to understand, for it to be open to everyone. So,
mental health affects everybody. One thing that we do is that, we let everybody know. Everybody's on, let's say, a certain playing field. If you're not going through something, it's okay. And that's like somebody else is going through something as well, and they're feeling a certain way. So
that's why it's important for the talking, where people somehow say, so I'm not alone. I'm not really. I'm not crazy. Actually, I'm normal. I'm trying to say everybody has these sort of modes. Let's go into the next one there. Overload.
I love the points that Makeda and Nicole stated, because it's just as Makeda stated, we wanted to include everybody, but at the same time, we were coming from our Christian belief and faith, because the idea of it was really just to be focused on what can we do that would invite people to create the discussion, but at the same time as well include our own faith, our own our ways of, I wouldn't say coping, but ways of like balancing out, be it with what's going on mentally, what's going on emotional, anything that's going on in the world. And with Overload, it really touches that note greatly, because it's really just about a young girl who's about to go to university. She's applying, so she's sending proposals, etc. But at the same time, she's working part-time as a carer, and she's now being promoted to manager. And at the same time, she's kind of looking after her younger brother, and her mother is dependent on her for income, but she's also coming from a broken home because the mother's no longer with the dad. So it's really, we wanted to, just even saying it, just really showcase the amount of responsibility that she's going through. And throughout the comics, we're just showing like little, almost like text messages, or like text bubbles, like so WhatsApp, like on your phone, that they just pop up, and it's just like from the mother asking if she's okay, if she's gone to also whenever check up with the doctors as well, and just really showcase how she's juggling everything in her life, but at the same time trying to funnel it down to just be, I'm gonna do this, I can do this regardless. But at the same time, I believe what we were trying to do, from what Nicole asked me to illustrate, was just to showcase that spur of emotion, of just like that rage, that either that's I can't deal with this. That there's a part in the comic when you go on the SDS website and you can read through it, and there's a part where she just like screams out in anger, and we wanted to show like it's okay to give space to anger, not to let anger control you. Because there's a lot of connotations of how anger is perceived, like, oh, it's negative, it's bad, it's things like, no, it's an emotion, it's something that you are in power and can control, but just give it the time, the space that doesn't devalue the time for it to be expressed, but also doesn't damage you or anyone else around it. And as we continue on the comic, I manages to see a friend who manages to advise her, like, do you want to go for a break, because she's like currently studying. She's like, that's the best thing I've been told the entire day. They're going to have some fufu and some eat. But they go and eat, and then the friend just advises her. And we kind of created this campaign, me and Makeda and Nicole, just like called Yana, which means you are not alone. So we just YANA, and we're just trying to like really push that idea, like you're not alone. So we just wanted to just showcase like she can speak to like NHS people, any of her close families, or even she wants to talk to her because she's a representative of the company itself.
Yeah.
And by doing so, she's now inviting herself to be like, okay, I'm not alone in this, because she actually explains herself. She's a transfer student from Germany, and she's trying to understand the cultures and how different they are. But then the conclusion is she's just now like texting back everybody. She just like Ed, and I say Ed in a very slang term of like just leaving behind on the phone, but just like now talking back to her mom, talking back to her boyfriend, talking back to her brother, and everybody, just to be like, I will meet you when I can, but for the meantime, let me just have my space. And then she just listens to some music or listens to like some calming apps. Or we're also trying to like highlight and also note like the spirituality, like be it your faith, like read the Bible, or just listen to some sermons, or listen to music, or anything that allows you to ground yourself to the center and the peace that is within you.
I'm just taking up my phone just to read the comments that somebody.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not reading that, taking up my phone. Michelle Clark said, whenever my family, son, 23-year-old daughter, and her family, which is my 16-year-old granddaughter and 9-year-old grandson, her husband, get together, all phones are put away, especially if we're doing dinner. Technology make your relationship with your loved ones impersonal. And I think that is something you guys alluded to earlier about the dangers and the positives of technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makeda?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I know it's one thing, like when Corona wasn't here, and we could all go out.
Oh, those days, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know a lot of people would be like, you'd go out and you know you're supposed to go and enjoy yourselves, but everyone's just doing this. Everyone's on it.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of people that will go around and be like, why are you on your phone? Why are you on your phone? It does make things very impersonal. And I think especially when it comes to family, it can then just act as a brick wall that pops up, because you can just sit there at a dinner table and just kind of be like this and not, you know, tell anybody anything. So 100% agree that technology does have that impact on people.
I want to dig into this overload a bit and just read it out for persons here. Doctor's appointment, work, deadlines, university choices, friends, family, and a clock ticking. Isn't that normal? Those things.
Those things are normal, but everybody handles things differently. So in that sense there, for example, like that character, you can have all that thing happening around you, but within you can't comprehend all of it at once. When it's all happening at one time, it is an overload. It's too much to consider. You've got the clock there, time is ticking. I've got deadlines, I've got this. On Friday, I've got to pick up this, I've got to do this. It's your brain to handle, especially then when you're somebody who's at school, university, or things like that. The added stress of, you know, being a young person and all the expectations that you've got to have. It can.
Can I just ask this question? I'm not being facetious or so, but I'm going to say it again. Doctor's appointment. You know, you got a doctor's appointment. You got work, which people have to do. You got deadlines with work. Deadline with doctor appointment. University choices. That's the norm. Friend, what happened many years ago? What happened many years ago? Is it that people can't multitask? I mean, they say ladies multitask better than men. I'm just putting some practicalities into this here. I'm not being facetious or damning things.
Yeah, that's fine.
But is it that society now has become, I'm sorry to say this, a bit wishy-washy, whereby we have lost a sense of oomph, stamina. Come on, we can do it, but we have become. It is like we are now weakened in a certain way. I mean, the government is trying to tell us what to do. You can't go there. You can't go there. So now people are like being trained. I can't see my friend. Now they're being trained even after the bubble is finished and the whole corona is gone. Can I go? Can I do that? Is it like there's a training of people to becoming weak and wishy-washy? I'm sorry. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I'd probably say things are taken in a different approach now. Yeah. So I think we're a lot more kind of emotional. That can be seen as good. It can be seen as bad. But and also I think another thing I'd say is we don't necessarily know, or actually no, let me say this. So like people older than us, let's say, we don't know if they were going through all this overload, but because you can't talk about it, you know, you can't talk about it at all. So nobody would know that you're going through all of that. But now it's where we're putting it out there to be like, okay, this is an issue for you, like it is an overload. So you're not being over the top if it's stressing you out and everything. And I think just to add to the girl in overload as well, like it's a thing where she's a carer and she's looking after her sibling and everything. That's something that, you know, you kind of think, oh, okay, like an adult, you know, has the ability to multitask in that sense. But if somebody's like, let's say 16 and they're a carer and they have to work and they've got uni, like it is very overwhelming. So, and especially if she feels by herself, if she feels like, you know, there's nobody out there who I can relate to, or there's nobody that I can that would understand.
It links to everything we were saying before about, you know, coming out and actually saying, I'm not okay. I think one thing we've got, especially within like the Black community, generations, we haven't really come forward and been like, guys, I'm struggling right now. I need some help, just asking for help. So I think what I would say we're trying to do now is say, look, as much as, let's say, older generations, they could have been going through what we're going through, but they didn't ask for help. They kind of just lived it. So then, you know, as we're growing up, it's kind of like, I went through that. I had to do it. And we're like, we get that, but I just need to put it out there. It's a lot. What we're trying to do now is just speak up and say, okay, I get it, but it is actually a lot to deal with. How can we better approach these situations now?
So what I'm picking up then is, it is not as if to say it wasn't happening in the past. It means that people are a bit more suppressed. It's just like how fathers, I remember my father, they don't talk that much, you know. You know? And you've seen what is happening now with the Me Too movement. Many women suffered a lot from abuse at that time because it wasn't right thing to say. Nobody's believing them. Nobody's believing children when they were molested. But now everything is coming out and people are being free. So you're right. And I just put that out there. So it's not as if to say it wasn't happening before. It's now people are now free to express and to relieve themselves in a certain way. Is that a fair statement, I must say?
Yeah, I was just going to add, there's a lovely quote that I was told by my father. It says, when you heal yourself, you heal a generation. Because what you have carried, be it anything that you feel like is either stopping you or impeding you from progress, either anxiety or even just anything that maybe be called a family thing. It's just something that allows you to, when you find peace within yourself, hence where we're trying to like showcase through overload to be like, even though she may be, because the idea of the character is for it to be like in a like mid-teens, so like 16, around 15, even 17, just to kind of give the idea of like someone with that young having so much responsibility to go and still continue on to support her family and still live her life. And by her finding peace within herself, either through her faith, either through her friends, or either through just anything that can help her find that stability, it can actually now inspire others, even like generations beforehand, to now create the conversation to be like, well, this actually happened to me. And then it's like, well, is this the reason why you act like this in regards to like you want to please people because you wanted to please your father because you never kind of showed off the emotion or something like that. So just creating those conversations, building the bridges, in the words of Chadwick Boseman.
Well, I must say this has been a very interesting this discussion, and we're running out of time now. But I did show something earlier. So how can people then contact? Is it the contact details which I was showing? You could use you as the point person, Mikey Dread. I mean,
yeah. So if people want,
that's not what people are seeing. They're not seeing Mikey Dread.
They'll be like, are you Mikey Dread or Mikey? Well, to reach me is just by my email, Mikey Creates with a Z at gmail.com. My Facebook, Mikey Tatenda Manyarara, and Instagram is Tatenda Mikey. And in terms of making a website coming next week, and they can reach me on that, which is tatendamikey.com. But for just the current moment in time, Instagram is where I am. So just send me a DM, send me an email at Mikey Creates, and I'll come back to you as quickly as I can.
And ladies, that is a port of call. So Mikey, can you be the point person now? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we go, can you tell us then, and starting with you, Nicole, what is your advice or your last word to young people? Well, not just young people, because Michelle just said something. You still have some of those older folks still not saying, because that should be kept in the family and not talked about. So I'm not going to restrict it, what you're saying to young people, but to persons with mental health factor. What is your word of advice? Your last word of advice? Yes.
I think my only advice would to be talk. Just talk. Just say how you're feeling, and have the right support group. Have the right people to support you, to listen to you, to guide you, because you can't repress and suppress everything. Because at one point it will all come out, and it won't be healthy. I think I did a talk like a couple of weeks ago, and came up with the 3 A's. So just acknowledging that there's an issue, whether you're younger, whether you're older, whether you're a grandparent, acknowledge that there's an issue, accept there's an issue, and then act on that. So acting on that could mean, seeking help from a therapist or having supportive family members. It's okay not to be okay, and everybody should feel like that.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'd probably say is I feel like we should get 2 generations. So like an older generation and then the younger generation, let's say, and like literally just talk about any influences, any problems that they've had and how they've dealt with it, and progressing to move forward, just to understand different perspectives and then learn from each other, really.
Okay, that's fantastic. And Makeda, if I ask you as well?
It's basically similar to what like Nicole said. I think just the point on the generations and bridging the gap between the generations is important, because just like the conversation saying, that some things that the older generation have been through and they haven't spoken about, but it's great to pass it down to the younger generation and to understand, how to approach it, how they approach it. There's no point of one generation going through a struggle, then the next one going through a struggle, and there's just no bridge to just say, okay, how about we lend a helping hand to each other? And I think just by doing that, you open the floor to communicate with each other, and that would be my thing. Like we keep saying, it's okay not to be okay. Make sure you go and say to somebody, I need 5 minutes. I just need a second. And just have that conversation.
Okay, and finally, save the best for last. I'm 90 in my honor Jamaican, you know what I'm saying? When Bob Marley went over there, Bob Marley spoke right into the whole thing during that time.
1980s Zimbabwe Independence Days, Bob Marley. But I think really the most important thing is to realize we are stronger from everything that we face. Regardless if it's mental, regardless if it's social, regardless if it's the government, regardless of anything. We are stronger than we think we are, and we're stronger than we know we are. Because what we know at the moment is just a benchmark to like what we can learn tomorrow, what we can learn the next day, what we can learn in the next hour. And the opportunities are there, but I think it's just really ultimately just take that leap of faith, take that leap to ask someone to just, can I talk to you for a second, even if it's a friend, even if it's a pastor, even if it's anybody. I just believe take that leap to help yourself so that you can help the people around you, you can help the community around you, and more importantly, you can help the next generation that's going to come after you.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. And also, I will also have the last word as well from Michelle Clark, which is put the device down and start talking to your loved ones.
Absolutely.
And Virginia said, well said on that point there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have seen and you have heard the comments, and you have heard the show tonight with my key guest, which has been on tonight, Makeda Bennett-Amparbeng and Tatenda Manyarara, Mikey Dread, and Nicole Leonne. I think it's very important that this topic is exposed and talked about more. Sometimes people are tabooed with it, but I believe it is something important. I sometimes see myself as a strong person, and I go outside and I walk. I deal with cases every day, going to court cases, and sometimes you feel really stressed, man. You get stressed sometimes, and I just want to walk. And the beauty about walking, I keep saying this to everybody, is when you get up and you walk outside and you go into that park, or you go into that lane and you shut off and you hear the birds just around you. It really shows you the level of connection with nature. And also, one other thing about walking is that you see all those bushes and how they overlap, and it looks like it's in disorder. And I got the revelation that it is not disorder; it is God's order. Then that's all there. Yeah, yeah. Amen. Are we in church yet? It's in God's order, and then it is so beautiful. And then, as you walking through you see the squirrels, you see the birds, and it resonates something, and say, "Come on, man, this is life." And sometimes I'm a person on social media every day. Everybody knows, and I'm very controversial. Put things out there. Trump 2020. Sometimes I say that and scare people. But the point about it is that I consider that the opinions or the thoughts that I have are mine, and nobody can actually challenge me, or they can challenge me. But I never let someone get into my way to say, "How can you say that? How can you think that?" Because, ladies and gentlemen, I believe one of the most important things is that you have got to understand who you are. And I believe a lot of that has come true from God. Because when you know what you have, I always say that you become unstoppable. Once you know what you have, and that's the whole essence of having that sense of identity. And that's why the Bible talks about be not conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind to know and prove what is well and acceptable. And that's a key factor, I believe, which is one of the undergirding factor, I believe, at this time. And that is why when somebody challenged me sometime as to say, what do I say? I simply say to them, hold a second, let me check my passport. Let me just check who's name is in it. Let me check my birth certificate to see if my parents' name is wrong. In a way, what I'm actually saying to the person is, how dare you, really? So that's the sort of mindset. And my sisters in Jamaica who are watching, or if they see that, they'll say LOL, because they say, see, SYLBOURNE is going to tell that person off in a way that they won't even know that they've been told off. You know? So I say that there, that it is important that we actually recognize who we are as persons. And, you know, everybody's at a different level. And that is something that I've learned to accept as well. So I cannot judge anybody by my standard. There's a point in law when we study, it says, take your victim as you find them. To say that just because that person might be a bit scary and you blow and they drop and they die, and if they blow on somebody else and they stand up, I said, but I blowed on Mikey and Mikey was okay. But then I blew on Mary and Mary fell. Take your victim as you find it. If that person is somewhat susceptible to certain things, so you've got to reach to a level. And that's my summing up, guys. How was that?
Perfect.
Yes. So any last word?
I was just gonna say, just as there's a Bible verse, I've forgotten where it's from. I'm gonna be grilled by my sister, but there's a Bible verse where Jesus is giving the parable about the birds, and he says, like, if God is able to look after the birds, what do you think about you? And I think we tend to forget, like, like you've been saying, like, my life is stress, like I can't be doing this. If a bird is able to glide over the earth and fly hundreds of miles and still be looked after, let alone you, his own child. And Jesus, I have to say this as well, Jesus is not his only son. We are also his sons and the daughters, okay? And it's just really just about recognizing that you're in God's hands.
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's powerful, and you're getting me going now, because when I hear the birds in the morning sometimes and they're singing, I always say, it was raining the other day, and I had my umbrella while walking, and I was like, man, this is a bird war. So they were just having fun. I said, they were excited that I was out. But the whole concept of the whole thing is that they're singing. They're singing, they're enjoying themselves. God is taking care of them. So I said, oh my man, come on, man. I look at myself and I realize, man, I'm more awesome than those birds. So I mean, it is a good thing. But I just want to comment on a few persons coming there, because all of a sudden everybody's talking now. Virginia said, well said, Mikey. Well done, Makeda. You guys have a fan there. You guys are really inspiring. Thank you so much. Wow, that was deep. It was deep. It's God's order. Nordia Mackenzie preach. That was you, Mikey Dread. That's powerful. Michelle Clark said, "Lo, I open my window and sit and meditate and listen to the birds as well." Was it my bird you're listening to, or someone's bird? You know what I mean? And finally, just joining your show, was doing meds. Okay, she's a nurse. Don't worry, you can get it on the replay. That's a beautiful thing. Off social media. There's some good things about social media. You can actually use it to your advantage. Okay. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much. And those on Instagram, for those who have not seen it, you can watch it on the replay. Those on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. And those on Facebook, remember to like and share. Mental is a key factor. But tonight, I'm joining my school in Jamaica, York Castle High School, where we're doing this fundraising event. Because, guys, in Jamaica, a lot of people are also struggling with tablets. So the alumni, what we are doing some fundraising. So they're having this virtual party tonight at 8:30 Jamaica time, which is 1:30 UK time. So therefore, I'm going to go to sleep right away to try to get up, because I'm going to host it a bit on my platform as well from the UK. And it's going to be fantastic. I'm just going to invite you guys into the promo thing of it, and then you guys can also, because Mikey, you're Jamaican, so so you're and Makeda, I understand you're half Jamaican, right?
I'm half. Yes.
Awesome. So this is a promotion event, which is for tonight. Yeah, I'd go for that. Yep.
Yorkies and friends, we're jamming for a cause in association with Cygnus Capital Management on December 4. Roping on the online dance with Bass Odessi, hyperactive sound, mark movements and intermission. The sound turn up, the ting turn up with Jenny, Grammy winner Young Pow, and the dancing dynamites from 8:30 p.m. Book your tickets and pay online. Info at yourcastlealumni.org. Thanks to Majestic Music, Team Jamaica Bickle Jaja Foundation. Support the tablet drive for our students. Let's jam.
I'm SYLBOURNE SYDIAL, class of 85, York Castle High School, proud Yorkist, breakdancer, rapper, as you guys may know. Well, listen, tonight, December the 4th, at 8:30 p.m. Jamaica time to 12 midnight, there's going to be this virtual fundraising concert, supporting students and getting laptop, the whole impact of COVID. But I must say at the same time, it's going to be at, and I'm making this clear, 1:30 a.m. UK time to 6:30 a.m. UK time, December the 5th. That's when it's going to happen for us. For the alumni in the UK, Europe, we're going to also be hosting this on the SYLBOURNE platform as well, and we'll be directing it. So it's going to be a great time. Make sure you come in as a part of the UK alumni. We are supporting this venture, and I encourage everyone to contribute to it. And it's going to be led by, I believe it's going to be hosted by Jenny. She's funny, I must say. And you can contribute £20, whatever you want, $20, $100 or whatever, to the Brownstone, Scotiabank, Cash App, Venmo, Yorkista, PayPal Me, and everything like that. Everywhere you can go. So make sure you tune in tonight, and let's have a good party. And we're going to have different artists out there. So come in, tune in. All the best. Make sure. SYLBOURNE UK. Bye.
Yorkies and friends, we're jamming for a cause in association with Cygnus Capital Management on December 4th.
Okay. We hear you. That was lots of promotion, man. Yeah. What I said about breakdancing thing is because when I was growing up in high school in Jamaica, I used to breakdance and rap. So that's why that message was to my schoolmates. Them was a SYLBOURNE here, Yes, it's me, the rapper, breakdancer. That's all I used to do. I did. I don't know if I studied or anything. My mother used to worry about me because I was so skinny, man. I grew up on LL Cool J, Grandmaster Flash, and those guys. I don't think you guys were even born into them.
No.
You know anybody? You know those guys?
Yeah.
Those are the guys. Yo, LL Cool J.
Yeah. I need love for the people in the place to be. My name is Cedar. When you listen to me on the microphone stand, you wrap up on the mic, I'm the Dan. And tonight we have Mikey Dread, Makeda, and Nicole on the show talking about mental health. Mental health is something which might people are slow, but I tell you what, you make sure you don't go with the flow, because there's a time that we change our mindset in order to know that we've got to get it set, and we've got to go into reset mode. Oh, my God.
Exploded.
No, those girls missed that, but they'll see it on the replay as well. You know. listen, Mikey. All the best.
Thank you very much. Blessings and blessings.
Yeah.
Keep on being.
Yeah, stay there. Don't leave. I just sign off to people. Bye bye, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll just come back to you. Okay.